So as you saw by the title of this episode, we are talking about the 3 reasons you are still single and how to change it. As a self-esteem and love coach, I have had the privilege of working with countless men who are looking to build a sustainable and fulfilling life for themselves. And depending on the individual, right, this can look like self-development. It can look like exploring your sexuality. It can be coming out, navigating the dating world, conflict resolution in a romantic relationship or amongst friends, and even separation if that's where you are currently at. That being said, the most frequent requests among strangers and clients is that I help them find love. It is rare that I meet someone who has chosen singledom and is completely satisfied and fulfilled with that lifestyle. Now, look, do not get me wrong. If you are someone who has chosen that for yourself, I completely support it. Who am I to tell someone their choice of being single is wrong? No. It's not my place, and I'm very much okay with admitting that. But here's the thing. A majority of you who are listening to this episode right now obviously saw the title and decided to tune in. So that tells me you are at least slightly interested in knowing why you are currently single or were single for an extended period of time. But before we jump into it, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Danny, and I wanted to thank you for joining in to the Deep Penetration podcast, and specifically for joining into this episode. I am a love and self-esteem coach that works with gay and bisexual men. I help men with dating, relationships, attraction, building self-confidence, and rebuilding and repairing self-esteem. So if you want to learn more about me and what it is that I do, I will leave all the information in the description of this episode. So link to my website, my Stan store, the free gift that I created for you, which I would highly recommend taking advantage of. It is the 7 things that you need to find and thrive in love as a gay or bisexual man. And I will also link all my other social media platforms on there as well. I'll leave my email. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And the only thing that I ask is that you subscribe to the podcast and share it with other people, because it just helps the podcast to keep going and allowing me to have these conversations with you. All right, so let's get into it. So reason number 1 is mindset. Oftentimes I will work with people who have convinced themselves that they are ready to date when in actuality, they're not. They'll go through the motions of downloading the dating apps, connecting with people, going on dates, getting frustrated when it doesn't work out, deleting the apps, loathe being single, and then repeat the same process over and over and over again. And look, technically, the first few steps, right, the first 3 are the ones you should be taking if you are going to put yourself out there. But the real question to ask yourself is this: why am I putting myself out there in the first place? And the answer to this question can provide a lot of insight into your motivation and whether you are ready to date or not. If the answer is rooted in negative emotions, so for example, I am tired of being alone, or I am in my 40s and I'm afraid that I'll be single for the rest of my life, your dating experience is likely to be a bad one. But if your response is rooted in positive emotion, so for example, I am wanting to share this wonderful life that I have created for myself with somebody else, or I'm ready to commit to building a beautiful life with someone who values me and I them, then you're off to a good start. But you might be wondering right now, right? Why does any of that even matter? Isn't the end goal here to end up in a relationship? And the short answer to that is yes, that is the goal. The reason it matters is because it shows me your mindset. A big part of dating is having a positive mindset and understanding that even if a connection with someone doesn't work out, it was an experience that taught you something about yourself. The process of dating can actually be an incredible self-development tool. I truly believe that we come to learn ourselves through our interactions with other people. So if you've ever read the book or watched the movie called the movie Into the Wild, it's a story about an American adventurer named Christopher McCandless. I think I said that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize, but I think that's how you pronounce it. And there is a quote that he writes in his journals while he was traveling. And I want to pull it up here because I think it is incredibly important and it is so poignant. He says, the joy of life comes from encounters with new experiences, and hence there is no greater joy than to have an endlessly changing horizon, for each day to have a new and a different sun. I think that is such a powerful quote, particularly in reference to self-development and dating, right? The process of dating should be new and exciting, and it should not be like heavy and full of anxiety. And in order to prepare yourself for dating, there are a few things, in my opinion, you're going to need, right? So you're going to need a clear understanding of your values and what you value in others. So what is that? Trust, loyalty, communication, right? It's for you to decide what is very important to you. An understanding of your needs and expectations. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. The reason I don't emphasize clear here is because your needs will change over time, and therefore you have to leave room for that change. It is, however, super important to understand your current needs and ensure that they are realistic. So for example, I need a partner who is communicative and willing to resolve conflict. Great, right? That's a great need. That's a great expectation. Understand your non-negotiables and be willing to set boundaries. Have a positive mindset. This means your focus is on connection and not attachment. If you have allowed yourself time to reflect, process, and release your previous dating experiences, then you will have a better chance of being present on your dates and connecting in a more meaningful way. The ability to identify why you are putting yourself out there in the first place will help you to date more intentionally, which is necessary if you plan on connecting with someone who shares similar goals and values as you, right? So if you have a negative mindset and your reason for dating or your reasons for dating are rooted in negative emotions, I think it's time that you take a step back and unpack those feelings and thoughts before putting yourself out there. I would highly recommend reaching out to me and booking a one-on-one coaching session so that we can discuss your concerns and come up with a game plan to help you change your dating luck. Because at the end of the day, if you continue to have this negative mindset, it's going to be really hard for you to find somebody to connect with on that deeper level. Reason number 2, you're using the wrong resources, right? I will start this one by saying Grindr is not a dating app. Grindr's not a dating app. Grindr's not a dating app. I work with clients who often try to convince me, and I mentioned this on one of my previous podcasts, that Grindr is their best bet for meeting someone. And here's the thing, depending on where you live, that very well could be the reality. If you live in the southern United States or Midwestern United States, then yes, I completely understand why Grindr is your primary resource for connecting with other men. In areas like those, the overall population of gay men is not very high, or at least men that are comfortably out or comfortable with their sexuality in general. Therefore, it is not likely you will find a large sum of men on some of those more serious dating apps like Hinge. But I still stand by what I said. Grindr is not a dating app. It's a hookup app. If you are lucky enough to live in a larger city where the population of gay men is much higher, utilizing an app like Grindr is not going to get you the results that you want. If you are someone who has met your partner on Grindr and has managed to sustain a happy, healthy, and fulfilling relationship, then that is incredible. But you're the exception. You're not the rule. Apps like Grindr, while they may have started for the right reasons, are hookup apps, and therefore you will find a lot of men on there that are avoidant, aren't ready for commitment, are down low, or are living a double life, because I definitely have come across many of them that are living a double life. It is not conducive to finding a quality relationship that can flourish into something long-term and sustainable. It is also possible that you are going to places like nightclubs, bars, circuit parties to try and find the correct, or to try to find and connect with somebody that you can get into a long-term and healthy relationship with. And while it is absolutely possible to find someone in an environment like that, it's usually really hard to get to know someone when the drinks are flowing and the music is so loud that you can hardly hear yourself or even remember what your name is after all those drinks that you've had, right? So for me, meeting people in these environments is fun and it's exciting, but it kind of presents a barrier when it comes to deep connection, right? So if you're someone who is just looking to have a fun time, or you just want to have fun along the way until you meet the right person, then these environments are perfect for you. That being said, I like to focus on intentional dating to find the right partner. So as long as you are real with yourself and recognize you're more focused on fun and casual connection opposed to fun and serious connection, then great, we're on the same page. Intentional dating is about being clear with what you are looking for and what you are willing to invest. So if you are someone who's looking to date more seriously, there are several options for you, right? So Hinge, that's a great option. I prefer this dating app because I find the interface easy to navigate. There are great prompted questions that allow you to gain insight about the person you're interested in. You get one free super like a week that you can send to the person of your choosing. There's conversation starters, there's dating intentions information, and there's a lot of great safety and security features. And also, let me clarify, no, I'm not sponsored by Hinge. No, I don't work for Hinge. None of those things. It's just an app that I personally find to be really good for dating purposes. You can also put your sexual orientation or your preferences of who you'd like to see on your profile grid. There's also event apps. So there's event apps like Fever, which are great resources for exploring your city and finding local LGBTQ friendly events that are going on. There are also options such as gay cruises, gay days at Disneyland, and those kinds of things, right? There's also volunteering. If you live in a city that has a local LGBTQ plus center, I would recommend stopping in and asking if they have any volunteer opportunities, because meeting individuals within the community in person can be a great way to connect and to know someone outside of the dating app environment. There's also gay sports leagues. So this is also a great way to meet people who have similar interests or are into physical fitness and enjoy staying active. The third one here, and this is the one that I struggle the most with clients, if I'm being 100% honest, and that's lack of time, right? I often work with people who will tell me they do not have time to date, but then complain that they are single. And what usually happens in this situation is they become dependent on Grindr because there is no need for commitment. It fulfills the need of intimate connection, however brief it might be, and it doesn't take up too much time. These are individuals who find themselves still single years later because they don't prioritize setting aside time to date. So, what does it mean to be too busy? Here are 3 things that are often related to not having enough time, right? So the first one is a busy schedule. If you live in an urban environment or have a demanding career, it is likely that you find yourself overwhelmed with work commitments, social obligations, and personal responsibilities. All these things combined, or not combined, even just a few of those, can result in you finding it hard to allocate time or energy towards dating or nurturing a connection with somebody. If you are career focused, you are likely prioritizing your career over your personal life, dedicating hours upon hours upon hours to getting ahead and leaving no time for dating or relationships whatsoever. It is also possible you have multiple commitments, right? Such as family responsibilities, community involvement, or just general hobbies that are keeping you from being able to invest the time. The other one here is fear of commitment. So maybe you are someone who fills up all of your extra time and uses being too busy as a shield to avoid intimacy and commitment. It is possible you are harboring some deep-seated fear of vulnerability or getting hurt in a relationship, so you subconsciously prioritize your busy schedule as a way of not getting close to other people. This usually looks like an avoidant attachment style or just being emotionally unavailable in general. I think a lot of people will use the excuse of being too busy as a shield to avoid intimacy and commitment. And like I said, they probably harbor a lot of fear and of being vulnerable and open and putting themselves out there. And I understand it, right? Dating can be very, very scary. And if you've ever experienced heartbreak in your life, then yeah, of course there's going to be a fear of getting hurt. But at the end of the day, the process of dating, there are going to be some rejections that are involved there. There's always going to be that potential of getting your heart broken, but there is also the potential of it being the best experience of your life. It all depends on how you look at it. The other one here is lack of prioritization, right? So in today's digital age, distractions are abundant, right? And it makes it easy for us to lose track of our priorities. So without consciously making relationships a priority, it's easy for time to just kind of slip away. And for us to invest more time into our phone and technology and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all of these things than actually investing the time in trying to connect and meet people and build relationships. So for example, constant access to technology and entertainment can lead to time being consumed by activities that result in instant gratification, right? And what ends up happening is that we are constantly looking for that dopamine hit, that instant gratification. So when you put yourself out there and when you start to date, you are possibly jumping from person to person to person because you're getting that instant gratification and then you're getting bored of it and then you're moving on. Right? So reevaluating your priorities and maybe even looking at your screen time and seeing how much time you're spending on your phone, on TikTok, on Instagram, and allocating some of those minutes, some of those hours to dating, right? That leads me to the real question, right? How do you make more time? I'll be honest and tell you it will be challenging for sure in the beginning, but it is 100% possible. There are several strategies that you can use to create more time for dating and relationships. The first one is prioritize self-care. Schedule regular self-care activities to recharge and maintain your mental and emotional well-being, which will ultimately make you more available for relationships because you're available for yourself. The second thing here is time management. Use tools like calendars, planners, or time tracker apps to better manage your schedule and identify areas that's, where you can allocate more time for dating and socializing. And I know that seems very robotic and very objective, but it's going to be a necessary tool or resource that you can use in the beginning that eventually will feel more natural and more organic. The third thing here is set boundaries. Learn to say no to activities or commitments that don't align with your relationship goals, right? This will also free up more time for you to be able to focus on dating and build the connections that matter to you. The other one here is quality over quantity. Focus on quality interactions rather than quantity interactions. And instead of spreading yourself too thin, invest your time in activities and relationships that bring you fulfillment and bring you joy. I hope you guys found this episode to be helpful. I hope it was insightful for you. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me. All my information is in the description of the episode. And yeah, I hope you guys are having an incredible morning, day, night, wherever it is you are in the world. And I will see you in the next episode.